cheesiness really comes from the aging process. The bacteria does its work, and you have amazing...
Bacteria is good for you.
It is
and
good
it's good
for you.
prosciutto, too. Now, this one was kind of plain. So it was fine, but it was a little plain.
This is the Volpe. This was our favorite of the pre-slice. It's good. When we did the side-by-side afterwards, we took the winner, the Volpe, and put it up against the real deal from Italy, and our tasters, like you, could tell the difference.
This one I thought was a little dry and chewy. I don't know.
This is the Chitero. It's pretty widely available. Came in third place. Another one of the sliced ones that we did like. Because it's so widely available, wanted you to taste it. It's a good choice.
Fine.
Again, it's not as good as the Italian, but it's certainly respectable prosciutto.
And what is this? That's what I want.
This is the Dietz & Watson. And so this is one of the ones that adds the sodium nitrates like they do for making salami and adds all kinds of other things besides salt. There shouldn't be anything other than salt and pork in your prosciutto.
So the answer is, if you can find real prosciutto department, have it sliced for you, that would be the real deal. It doesn't last as long, but more available and it will last quite a long time in those packages. Pre-sliced is the Volpe prosciutto, which is made here in America. You know, have you ever thought about the concept of nature versus nurture? Well, I have, because a few years ago, I was at a small Italian restaurant in New York, and the chef's mother had come over from Italy. She made the pasta right in the front of the restaurant. And I watched her turning out tortellini for a couple minutes, and I knew it was absolutely bred in the bone. Because when I make ravioli at home, I do it like this. The pasta sheets dry out. I don't get the right amount of filling. I try to seal the edges, but not too well. They go into the simmering water, and then they break apart. It's definitely not part of my DNA. So let's head into the test kitchen with Bridget. Let's deconstruct ravioli, come up with a whole new pasta dish that even a ravioli rookie like me can make. So we finally got a letter from one of your former neighbors, probably in West Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of your people.
That scares me a bit.
Mr. Kimball, you are the king of all the chefs of all the cooking shows.
Well, I would dispute that.
Here's my favorite part. I am a cook that has a kitchen that's so small, I can't cuss a cat without getting hair in my mouth.
That is a good term.
I like that.
I like that a lot, too.
Can't cuss a cat without getting hair in my mouth. Well, anyway, that's, little tiny place.
Well, I've got some good news. We're not going to use cat today in our cooking, so we don't have to worry about that. But we are going to make a great, quick pasta dish. It's fusilli with some ricotta cheese and spinach.
We're taking the concept of ravioli, which is usually stuffed with those things, at least often.
That's right.
And we're deconstructing it to make it easier,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
That's exactly right. So we're going to make a really easy dish. It's going to cook in just about the same amount of time it takes to cook the pasta. But before we do get to the pasta, this is a cup of ricotta cheese. I'm going to add a little bit of fat to it, a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil for some richness. And we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And we'll whisk this together until it's nice and smooth. And just the simple step of seasoning ricotta cheese really does change its flavor. So we're going to let this sit here so it can warm up. We've got 4 quarts of water already at the boil, and that's perfect for the amount of pasta, which is 1 pound. And we're using curly fusilli here, and we have a tablespoon of salt. So if that could go into the pot, there you go, along with the pasta. And I'm going to put you in charge, keeping an eye on that. So we're going to cook this until it's al dente. You'll want to stir it a few times. So in the meantime, while that's cooking, we can get started on our sauce. This is 2 more tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And we've got 4 minced cloves of garlic. And I know sometimes you get a little bit afraid of garlic, but this is going to temper its bite just a bit. This is a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And we're going to cook this over medium heat just for a minute or so, really until we start to smell that garlic. All right, we can really smell that garlic. So it's time to turn off the heat. This is another 1/3 cup of ricotta cheese. And we also want to use a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. That's so we get a really nice creamy sauce. If you used all ricotta, it could just be a little too cheesy, a little too grainy, and not any of that luscious creamy texture. And then a few more ingredients. Have a teaspoon of freshly grated lemon zest and 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. And then a good 3/4 teaspoon of salt, because pasta and sauces need to be well seasoned. Otherwise, they really don't taste like much.
So when you taste them, they seem over seasoned, but when you mix them with the pasta, they are properly seasoned.
That's exactly right. So that is it. We've got our sauce made. Our final ingredient is 1 pound of baby spinach. We chose it because it's really easy to use. We're just going to simply chop it. And we don't want to cook it too much. We don't want it to lose that freshness. I'm just going to take a big handful of this and start chopping. So we just want rough pieces because spinach tends to shrink down to nothing. And then I'm going to continue chopping the rest of the spinach. And by the time I'm done, the pasta should be ready. All right, Chris, it's time to dump the pasta. Almost, but I want you to take that cup there and reserve a cup of pasta cooking water. We can always use that to adjust the final texture of the sauce.
Okay.
Now, before you dump the pasta, go ahead and add in the spinach. We're going to wilt it. Yes, I know. Kooky, isn't it?
But it just might work.
We're going to wilt it in the pasta water for about 30 seconds. And that way we don't overcook our spinach. And stir that in. It takes almost no time. And that's how we're going to preserve that fresh spinach color and flavor. So as soon as it looks really wilted, drain the pasta and the spinach. And then I want you to return it back to this pot. Back in it goes. All right, so we've got our pasta and the spinach. Now I can go ahead and add that cream and ricotta sauce with the garlic.
Oh, this is off heat now?
This is all off heat, that's right. And we're also going to add a little bit of cheese. This is a half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese right at the end. That's going to give some beautiful seasoning. And we'll toss this to coat. That's great. And now, here's kind of a trick that we've learned over the years. If you let the pasta sit for about 2 to 4 minutes and toss it every once in a while, some of that starch will release from the pasta itself. It'll go into the sauce, and you'll get a creamier sauce. Now, as this is starting to thicken up, I'm going to ask you to put a little bit of that water in there.
A little bit more.
Thank you. It's good to do it, a couple tablespoons at a time. So we're going to let this sit just for a couple minutes. All right, so Chris, we are ready to go. You can see how luscious that sauce is, and it's really coating the pasta well.
That tip about letting it sit and the starch coming out was a good tip.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that?
So we're going to serve this. Very elegant. Goes out onto a platter. And now we get to dollop this with spoonfuls of that fresh ricotta. So when we're serving this, we can make sure that we get a good blob of ricotta cheese. And we've got some extra Parmesan there, if you'd like that.
That looks good. So it looks good, but
Yeah, well,
how does it taste?
Proofs in the taste.
Oh. This is better than ravioli because it's creamier, it's fresher. Ravioli is a little compact and
That's right.
stodgy compared
And
to
there's
this.
never enough filling.
We started with a ricotta mixture, which you seasoned just a little bit and left that off to the side. Then took a little olive oil and a little garlic and started and added cream and a little bit of that ricotta too off the heat to make a nice sauce. Meanwhile, we cooked the fusilli. The last 30 seconds, we added some baby spinach, drained that, put them back in the pot, and then added that cream sauce to it and topped with that reserved ricotta to serve. So there you have it, from America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, a fabulous recipe for fusilli with ricotta and spinach. You can get this recipe, all the recipes from the season, watch our selected episodes, and also get our tastings and testings at our website, which is americastestkitchen.com. This is, top 5.